The movie opens with a dark and mysterious flashback inside a massive, old mansion belonging to the wealthy Ladomas family. Two young boys hide in fear as a terrified man runs through the house, desperately trying to escape. Moments later, he is captured and dragged away while the children watch in horror. The scene cuts to years later, where we meet Grace, a warm and optimistic young woman who is about to marry into the Ladomas family. Despite her humble background, she seems genuinely in love with her fiancé Alex, who reassures her that his family's strange traditions are nothing to worry about. Their wedding takes place in the grand mansion, filled with luxury but also an unsettling atmosphere. Grace notices the family members are a bit odd, some are distant, others behave nervously, and a few seem outright hostile. Still, she brushes it off as pre-wedding tension. After the ceremony, Alex reveals that there's one last family tradition she must participate in before she's officially accepted, a midnight game. Grace is confused but amused, thinking it's just a harmless ritual. As the clock strikes midnight, she joins the family in a dark room filled with antique objects and a mysterious puzzle box. She's asked to draw a card, which will determine the game they play. Smiling nervously, she pulls the card and reads it aloud, hide and seek. The family's reaction immediately changes. Their smiles fade. Silence fills the room. Grace laughs awkwardly, unaware that she has just chosen the one game that will turn her wedding night into a nightmare. At first, Grace thinks the game is just a quirky tradition. The rules seem simple: she has to hide somewhere in the mansion, and the family will try to find her. If she survives until dawn, she wins. But as she leaves the room to find a hiding place, the tone shifts dramatically. The family begins arming themselves with weapons, crossbows, axes, old rifles, each one preparing for something far more sinister than a game. Meanwhile, Grace hides in a small servant's passage, still unaware of the real danger. As the family splits up to search the house, their true intentions are revealed. They're not playing for fun, they're hunting her. Their belief is rooted in a dark pact made by their ancestors: if they fail to complete the ritual sacrifice, they will all die before sunrise. Back in her hiding spot, Grace begins to sense that something is wrong. She overhears fragments of conversation, enough to realize that her life is in danger. Panic sets in, but she forces herself to stay quiet. Suddenly, two of the family's servants enter the room, whispering nervously about the situation. Before Grace can react, one of the family members accidentally kills the servants with a crossbow, mistaking them for Grace. The brutality of the act shatters any illusion of this being a game. Grace watches in horror, realizing that this is real and she is the target. Now fully aware of the danger, Grace begins moving through the hidden corridors of the mansion, trying to stay one step ahead of her pursuers. The house itself becomes a maze, filled with secret passages, locked doors, and dark corners that make escape nearly impossible. As she navigates the space, she overhears more about the family's twisted belief system. They truly think that if they don't kill her before dawn, they will all die. Some of them are completely committed to the ritual, while others show hesitation, but none are willing to stop it. Grace eventually runs into Alex, who has been hiding from his own family. He claims he wants to help her escape and explains the full truth about the ritual. According to him, the family made a deal with a mysterious figure generations ago, and this is the price they must pay to keep their wealth and success. Grace struggles to process this, but she knows she has no choice but to trust him, for now. Together, they attempt to find a way out of the mansion. But their plan quickly falls apart when the rest of the family closes in. Grace is forced to flee again, this time on her own. As the tension rises, the line between hunter and hunted becomes even more intense, and Grace begins to transform from a terrified victim into someone determined to survive at all costs. Grace's escape attempts grow more desperate as the family tightens their control over the mansion. She tries to climb out through a window but injures herself in the process, making it harder to move quickly. Bloodied and exhausted, she pushes forward, driven purely by survival instinct. Meanwhile, the family argues among themselves. Some members begin to doubt whether the ritual is real, questioning if they've been killing for nothing all these years. Others insist that they can't risk finding out the truth the hard way. This internal conflict creates cracks in their unity, giving Grace small opportunities to slip through their grasp. At one point, she manages to reach the outside grounds, thinking she's finally escaped. But the property is heavily secured, and she's quickly captured and brought back inside. As she's dragged through the mansion, she screams for help, but no one comes. The outside world feels impossibly far away. Back inside, she's prepared for the ritual sacrifice, tied up and surrounded by the entire family. The tension reaches a breaking point as they prepare to kill her. But just as the ritual is about to begin, something unexpected happens. Grace fights back. In a sudden burst of adrenaline, Grace manages to break free and disrupt the ritual. Chaos erupts as she grabs a weapon and begins defending herself. The roles start to shift. She's no longer just running, she's fighting. One by one, she outmaneuvers members of the family, using the mansion's layout to her advantage. The once helpless bride is now a survivor willing to do whatever it takes. Meanwhile, Alex's true intentions come into question. At first, he seemed to be on her side, but as the situation becomes more desperate, his loyalty wavers. He struggles between his love for Grace and his loyalty to his family. This internal conflict adds another layer of tension, as Grace realizes she may not be able to trust him completely. The family continues their hunt, but their confidence is shaken. They've never faced resistance like this before. Grace's determination and unpredictability make her a far more dangerous target than they anticipated. As the night drags on, the mansion becomes a battlefield, filled with broken objects, bloodstains, and the echoes of a fight for survival. As dawn approaches, the pressure intensifies for everyone involved. The family grows increasingly desperate, knowing their time is running out. Grace, on the other hand, is physically and emotionally exhausted but refuses to give up. She confronts Alex, demanding to know where he truly stands. In a heartbreaking moment, Alex ultimately chooses his family, believing that the ritual must be completed. This betrayal hits Grace harder than anything else she's endured that night. She's not just fighting for her life, she's facing the realization that the man she trusted has turned against her. The family captures her once again and prepares for one final attempt at the ritual. The atmosphere is tense, filled with fear, doubt, and anticipation. As the first rays of sunlight begin to appear, the family rushes to complete the sacrifice, convinced that their lives depend on it. Grace, bruised and broken, braces herself for the end, refusing to show fear. In the final moments, the ritual is carried out, but something unexpected happens. For a brief second, nothing occurs. The family looks around in confusion, realizing that they may have been wrong all along. Some begin to laugh nervously, thinking the curse isn't real. But their relief is short-lived. One by one, they begin to explode violently, proving that the ritual was indeed real and they failed. The mansion becomes a scene of chaos as the remaining family members meet their gruesome fate. Grace watches in shock as everything unfolds, barely able to comprehend what she's witnessing. In the end, she is the sole survivor, sitting alone in the burning remains of the mansion as the sun rises. When authorities arrive, she simply says, "In-laws." The film closes with Grace walking away from the nightmare, forever changed by the events of the night. What started as a wedding celebration has turned into a brutal fight for survival, leaving behind a haunting reminder of how far people will go to protect their legacy and the cost of blind tradition. And just like that, what started as a beautiful wedding night turns into a deadly game of survival. Grace, a simple bride who only wanted love, is suddenly forced to fight for her life against the very family she just married into. One by one, the night reveals the dark truth behind the Ludomas family, a cursed legacy built on wealth, blood, and sacrifice. But here's the real question: is it just tradition, or is something much darker controlling them? The message behind this movie is powerful. Not every family is worth joining, and sometimes, survival means breaking free from toxic traditions, no matter the cost. It also shows how greed and blind loyalty can turn people into monsters. And now, Grace has made it through the night, but at what cost? Will the curse finally be broken? Or is the real horror just about to begin? That's where part 2 comes in. Backhand index pointing right. If you want to see what happens next, don't miss part 2 on Movie Pulse TV. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more fire.